Hello everybody and welcome. I am the Beta Plan and this is Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, a visual novel by Draw Distance. And last time we left off we were, well, not really awoken because we just woke up by Gregory as he knocks on the door of our apartment as we have a little appointment. Hey, I came to pick you up as Miss Langley wants to see you. Any idea what she needs me for? I'm not in the position to ask. He smiles politely. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave, disappear, let Sophie find somebody else to employ. But then you remember the anarch thug being cut down by Kadir and how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago. And that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked on to one of the paintings in the room. I apologize for that mistake. It is just hotter than in this room, at least for me as a Dutch person. I know that for some people when you hear 30 degrees you go like, we have that every day. But for me, it's hot, okay? So I apologize if I make some mistakes. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves as she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances. But I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Lamar. Thank you for coming. A change in the mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine and expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't. Correct? She gives you a smile that just a handful of nights ago would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Lamar? Kaiser is a Nosferatu. That twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again. But shorter. Much shorter. Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser before I head out on this merry-go-round? He's been here a long time. About as long as I have. He got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about anything and everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night. Good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out toward Coney Island. Hopefully we can feed a little bit there because we are hungry. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sound of Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Bell Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. No. Search for signs. I'm not going to ask around it, and I can't use Auspex right now. There are plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents this area, there has to be some kind of glue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any sign that a Nosferatu, or any vampire, has their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, which means nothing by the way, you turn back towards the light of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way. Wearing an oversized jacket, he had the air of a junkie or dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? You lost? Maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. What is it to you? What kind of answer is that? You a spook? A fed? He looks at you intently, like he's trying to guess your real purpose here. Get out of here before I kick your ass. Chill. Just looking for a guy. Drives around in a black limo. Stops here sometimes. Ring any bells? No idea what you're yapping about. He's a terrible liar. Clearly full of shit. Listen, I was sent here by Sophie Langley. She has something for Kaiser. I need to contact him and hand it over. Nothing more to it. Don't know her, and I told you already, I don't know who Kaiser is either. He sees the doubt in your face. Fuck it. Stay right here. He produces his phone. It's a fancy model. Doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. Unlocks it, dials a number, and 2 tones go by. A voice on the other end. Sorry to bother you again, boss. Yeah, I know how much you need your alone time, but that sounds very nice. There's somebody here who wants to see you. They're with Langley? Sophie Langley, yeah. A string of loud obscenities fills the phone. The man winches and pushes it away from his ear, and then the call stops. Almost immediately, a chime, the Count's laugh from Sesame Street? Well, announces a new message sent to the phone. He's, on his way. Don't go anywhere. The inside of the limo used to be a luxurious lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. I have the feeling we're skipping by? How do we all of a sudden know the limo? There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture scene. Why in that? Whatever. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise, and then realize there's nobody there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure. It's Kaiser. Apparently the limo came around after you said he's coming back, but I kinda missed the sentence. A black limo stops right in front of you, opening a door. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. The door closes behind you. This does not almost look like a limo anymore, I agree with that. That's not. I've seen worse Nosferatu, to be honest. At least. Of course, in games. So the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley. Oh, sorry. So the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you. You got something for me? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drives and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address. She can give me something else. What does this symbol mean again? Oh. Is this me? This is me using a power, right? Both of them are power, but this is probably a bad idea. Oh, I don't have the blood I need to feed. Come on, man, give me a break. How couldn't we have known that? You already seen this material. He gives you a patronizing look. Kid, you're new around here, so I'll pretend I didn't hear that. You want your address? You're gonna have to work for it. I have just the idea. Yeah. Something appropriate for an eager fledgling like yourself. More on that soon. Yeah, stay tuned. Now get the fuck out. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Please, man, I need to feed. Oh, bloody boy. You're walking down the streets towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passerby going about their business. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters. All of them look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker, or a kindred thrall trailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car ordinary cops or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Following the queue of so many mortals around you, you stop at a street corner to casually survey your surroundings, as if you were trying to remember which turn to take. You look around. Something. Okay, I am stumped. How to pronounce this? I would almost think it was ostentatiously, but that is not what is written here. Because that's what I would have expected in the sentence, and I don't know this. Oh well. Add street signs, but in reality to see if someone really is following you. Down the street where you came from, a crowd of young drunk men argue loudly about baseball. There's an indistinct figure standing behind them, almost impossible to notice. A woman, probably. The men unconsciously move around her as they start to walk away, still mouthing off at each other. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is staining you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted about the idea that someone might know where you sleep. Need to feed. As you wake up from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. It's Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. His hands are outside of his pockets, and he seems pretty relaxed. He's keeping his eyes on the street though, as if making sure you're alone. He smiles awkwardly when you approach. Please. This is the problem though of a visual novel, unlike Vampire the Masquerade. When you need to feed, you will make it a priority. Right now, I feel like I can't do all my cool powers because I need to feed. Can you hear the hunger in my voice? Evening. Got something for you from our mutual friend. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, then give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might be just a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1921 Special Reserve Donatello negative." Oh my dear lord, that is a hell of a request. Let me write that down before this game is going to do me one up. Yeah, and it's 232 mol. It probably won't do it, but that's a bit of an information. When they tell you, they know I have it. Say you're Fidel Servitore della Famiglia J. A trustworthy servitor of the family J? Those exact fucking words. And don't make sure you get the G right. Yeah, okay. You want to be a server... humble in... No, it's I think it's humble in service of. The family G. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but... You'll get a bottle, you take it, and leave by saying grazie. Jeez, even a code word for leaving? You guys. Don't ask how much it is, or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie Boy here, and let him know. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. What's with all the cloak and dagger nonsense? Like, letters, passwords, even a password to get out? That's how the boss likes it. And what am I to argue? I just do what he says. You about done with the letter? You note the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in that alley over there, so find me when you have that item, whatever it is. I don't know. And the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. He shovels away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. I have the feeling that is going to be blood. A special type of blood, but... You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurants' patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night. While curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small, middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slick, combed back hair. He's reading a newspaper, but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small, steaming cup, then gets back to his broadsheet. Good evening. How can I help you? Whoa, you've got such a big selection of wine. Say, wouldn't you have a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negromaro, would you? She gives you a curious look. Let me check. She seems to be looking through a database on the laptop sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment. I'm sorry. I'm sure you'll find a bottle for Fidel Servitore della Famiglia G, right? She raises an eyebrow. Let me see if we have any in the back. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from his cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you ever so often. Doors to the back of the store open and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, quad bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Scusi. Sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? Why, this is a wine shop, so it's wine, surely. Something about the face she makes gives you the impression you blew it. The woman looks over to the guy at the table and he stands up. You decide there won't be a better time and snatch the bottle from her hands. The man draws a gun from the side holster. What? I should just say grazie and get out of there. I didn't want to use presents because I have need for blood. The man draws a gun from the side holster as you make for a run for it. Several more gunmen pour from the back door. Shots ring out, piercing your undead flesh, but you're fast and most miss their mark. By the time you make it out onto the street and lose their pursuit, you see you have a few new bullet holes to patch up. The bottle is thankfully intact. What kind of a bullshit is this? Sorry, I know it was blood, but I have not the option to say it. I am in desperate need of blood, so I can't use presents. Now I feel I'm being railroaded in a way that I don't like it. I want to feed so badly, but I have no option. Only on somebody else's turf, which I don't like to do. And then this... If I was Lamar, I really would have fed before I went on this freaking shop spree. You make your way back to the car cautiously and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got the goods? I got it, but it was a hassle. Oh boo-hoo, stick around. Gotta make the call. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Hey boss. Yeah, they have it. Where do I point them to? Okay? Yeah, I'll tell him to go there right away. He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. Willard's Point. Half an hour. So you better step on it. See you around. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willard's Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out into one of the gashes in the asphalt, splashing in ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. Yeah, he's not going to come up here. Come on, I have a bit of brain power. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. Why does this... Yeah, I need to feed, sorry. This is too perfect of an opportunity to not take advantage of. She's walking to her car, ready to call a night when you sneak up on her. She's far too tired to resist your strong hold and swift bite. You can taste the caffeine in her veins, smell the cheap cigarettes in her hair, the old cooking grease in her clothes. She passes out. You're sold the closing note of a long day at work. You let her down gently and feel a pang of remorse. You pick up the car keys she dropped and place it in the driver's seat. She'll find an explanation for passing out like this, for sure. The bright lights of a car pulling over down the road illuminate you as you close the door. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car door opens but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. Heard there was a shoot-up in Mulberry. Told you to stick to the fucking script, didn't I? You have the bottle? Give it here. I would have stuck to the script if I was allowed to say what I want to say without using a power. Because that was a power thing. Using presents. I needed to feed. I find this really annoying. You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. See, that wasn't so hard, considering you're dead bait. Oh yeah, and also, take this. It's what Langley wanted. He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. Nah, I'm not gonna ask for a bonus. Because I didn't do it right. Thank you, Mr. Geyser. Yeah. I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out now. So I did do well enough if he says he's gonna pick me up again. He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back onto the torn asphalt, in decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can turn to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Or perhaps let her wait and do something for herself. I want to get more allies. I haven't. Well, whatever. In these nights, I expected a few nights when not talking to a person is like not relevant at all. Because if your time is long, time, I think itself would become a very different type of, will have a different type of meaning to you. After all, what is a night in eternity? Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh, and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. He's the man from Elysium, the one with the glasses and good taste in suits. You didn't have the chance to talk to him last you saw him. Ah, Lamar, so glad to see you. Tell me, did the two of you previously meet? The man doesn't wait for your answer. He approaches you with an energetic, almost dance-like step and puts out his hand. Thomas Arturo, I've heard about you. Pleasure, pleasure. Thomas is a great source of gossip and an excellent conversationalist. I also have the prince's ear, which is the primary reason dear Miss Langley wishes to speak to me tonight. Good gossip, even coming from me, isn't nearly as valued. Sad. Sophie is taken aback by the man's direct comment, but smiles politely. The awkward atmosphere is broken again by the guest's grating laugh. I kid, of course, I kid. Well, I was about to leave anyway, so I'll leave you two to it. Good night, Sophie. Lamar, graggy boy. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The door closes. The doors close. He opens the door and then it becomes from singular to multiple doors. That's interesting. I think there's a little typo here. He is quite the character, isn't he? Yes, quite. But he has his uses. Thomas has clout and court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen? Primogen aren't very low in my opinion, but alright, that's me. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. So, what are you gonna go for? Let's all think about what he might be as a clan. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for? Lady, it took one extra night, okay? I got bullet holes in me. Yes, I have it. But the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he would give me this card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. He's got a servant named Jackie. He was a pain to deal with. I hear all his ghouls are like that. Finally! The apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw on Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes. Excellent. I need to call on some favors. Again, you've used all... I thought you had used all of them for me already. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear Charge. I will contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside and you are left to do with the rest of this night hours as you like. Oh, finally, thank you. So gracious. Is that, somebody's watching me? Yeah, sure. Let's do the somebody's watching me. I wanted to go to the Mokavian Hope, but, someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can be a good thing. The only question is, what to do about it. Nope. I had to show initiative. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. It's raining outside, and as you step onto the street in front of your haven, you wonder whether that will help you. Will you be able to see the footprints of your stalker in puddles on the ground? Not sure where to start, you slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. Both of them talk your ear off about strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you. Walking the streets, you're convinced by turns that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you, and that your stalker has decided to take the night off. Frustrated after a couple of hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you and has no time to brake or swear as you suddenly step in front of him. For a split second your eyes meet those of the man on the bike and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushing you forward. You tumble, flying to the sidewalk as the courier zooms past. You feel a weight on your back, catch a glimpse of something, a person, a female you think, and then she disappears. You could spend a couple of more hours trying to find the woman who's been stalking you, but in your shriveled undead heart, you know it will be futile. She is gone. Well, that was pointless, but perhaps insightful. Not an enemy. And with that I say I thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty.